have the EAP's administrative assistant. A lot of you receive reminders and emails from me pushing out the 1 million cups, so thank you. If you are new and would like to be joined onto that list, please, there's a sign-in sheet over there, so after the meeting you can go ahead and make sure you sign up for those. Today we have some very special guests. We have Miss Julie Malum and Tyra Kidd from the EAP team. So they're here today to talk about some grants that the BRF was awarded. Before I introduce them though, I would like to say thank you to all of our sponsors that we have. So of course we've got the EAP and BRF, then we also have the Andre Center, Cohab, Rhino Coffee, and the tea from House of Ruth Apothecary. So thank you all for our sponsors. We really appreciate couldn't do this event without anybody. So, and thank you for everybody for showing up. We really appreciate this. Let's go ahead and get started. So again, we've got Julie. She's been with EAP for 8 years, and then you've got Tyra, who's been with us since January. She was strictly hired to be our diversity officer for these grants that we were awarded. So we're excited to welcome her to the team, and I will let them take off.
All right, thank you everyone for being here this morning. So the reason we wanted to do this kind of talking session this morning was to help educate the public and the entrepreneurs that are in our community and business owners about what these EDA grants actually are. So a little bit of history. So is everybody in here familiar with EAP? Yeah, everybody. I see a lot of familiar faces. Is anyone not familiar with EAP? Okay, so a quick recap of that. So Dr. John George is the president of BRF, and he had a vision. He said, I know that we can help start companies in North Louisiana without them having to leave to go to Austin or Dallas or Atlanta or somewhere else. We can help raise that capital here in North Louisiana. So he brought back Dave Smith, who is actually in Washington, D.C. He is our director, executive director. He brought Dave Smith in to actually start a business accelerator. And so that was started 10 years ago, and we're coming up on our 10th anniversary. Just a little teaser to let you know we are going to be having our 10th anniversary in October on 10/10, so kind of cute at 10 a.m. Anyway, so more to come on that. But Dave helped, they went around to all the business accelerators across, well maybe not all of them, but several of the key ones across the country, kind of looked at their models and said, what do we want to pull from each one of these to really customize this accelerator so that it will work for North Louisiana? And so that's how EAP was developed. And then John's second task that he gave Dave Smith was go organize the capital. And what that means is, startups, they need money, right? They're either going to bootstrap it, maybe win a grant depending on what industry and what they're doing. They can go to a bank, or they can raise private capital from investors. So what we did is we started the first angel fund in North Louisiana called the New Louisiana Angel Fund. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. It ties into one of the grants that we won. But so we do have angel funds here, and I actually help manage those. So anyway, that's a little recap on what EAP is. BRF, our real mission at BRF is to diversify the region's economy and build the region's future. We help start companies, we help recruit companies, and then we help retain companies. So those are kind of the three key missions that we've got there. So now that you know what EAP and what we do there, we actually applied back in 2018 for an EDA grant, and we started a program called NorLeap. Does anybody remember NorLeap? Yeah, few people. Yep, NorLeap. So what that helped us do is previously we were only really focused kind of in the Shreveport-Bossier region. And so what that helped us do is kind of start to expand our services across the 21 parishes in North Louisiana. And so we were able to do that back in 2018, 19, and 20. Of course, COVID hit. We had to get really creative. Matt and Sabrina helped us greatly come up with some unique, creative ways to really get people to engage. And so from that, something that we realized was that there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that go, I don't know where to go. I need help. I know I can't do this by myself, but I don't know where to go. And when I went and saw this one person, they told me to go over there. And then when I went and saw them, they told me to go over there. And so it was just everybody was kind of handing people off, and nobody was really getting the help that they needed. And so we recognized that. And we actually found one of our former interns, who now actually works for one of our portfolio companies, EP, found a software called SourceLink. And what SourceLink does is it's sort of a CRM. It helps us kind of manage all of the incoming companies and all of their information. But it also has something called the Resource Navigator. And what that did is that helped us bring, do you know that there are 91 organizations across northern Louisiana that help startup companies? It might be the chambers. It might be, did you know there's a lot of resources at the local libraries? I don't know if you knew that, but there's a ton of resources there. We did a session several years ago with the local library, and they kind of walked people through. If you ever need training, like let's say you want to teach yourself QuickBooks, go to the local library. It's free. There's all kinds of videos, there's all kinds of training. It's absolutely free. All you need is a library card. So shout out to the libraries. We've got the SBA and the SBDC, Amanda Flynn over there. We have amazing resources like Southern's Kitchen Incubator, the MS Kick on Milam Street. Oh, what a great facility. We just had an event there a couple of days ago. And just a little kind of teaser, we're going to be having another event there in July. It is going to be a food truck academy. So if you know anyone who is interested in starting a food truck or has a food truck, reach out to us. We want to make sure they're a part of that. We want to make sure that we get them involved. And then as part of that, we're going to do a free food truck Friday. So more to come on that, but I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. So anyway, we have all these resources in North Louisiana, but as an entrepreneur, how do I know where to go? And so we decided that we were going to kind of be the hub, right? We were going to be the ones that say, come see us. As many of you know, you get to sit on the blue couch and have the conversation. And then we will either say, yes, you're a good fit for EAP, or we're going to get you to the right resource. And so this software that we implemented actually helps us keep track of all of those referrals and get people to the help that they actually need. And so we started that, and that was called the Launch Network. And that all came kind of after NorLeap, that program. So we started the Launch Network. Well, that was right in the middle of COVID, and that was super tough. We couldn't really get all these resource partners together. So back in 23, just last year, there was another EDA grant, actually more than one. It was under the EDA Build to Scale program. Has anybody heard of the Build to Scale program? I would highly encourage you to go look at it. Especially if you're an organization that is a nonprofit that might be looking to do economic development or things like that in North Louisiana, or if you know any that are. But it has two sides. It has a venture side where it really helps launch and kind of grow companies. And then it has a capital side where it helps to fund those companies. We applied for both, and we won both grants. Yes, big deal. This was a really big deal for the BRF and the EAP team. Our grants team has just knocked it out of the park. So with that, now you say, okay, now we won, now what? What do? We got to figure out how to actually implement this. So we started thinking, and we said, we already have this launch network, but it's kind of trickled off just because of COVID, and we really haven't kept in touch with some of our resource partners. Cohab, of course, we refer a lot of people to. The SBDC, we refer a lot of people to. MS Kick, we refer tons. We don't do restaurants, so we feel like they're the experts and do a better job at restaurants. But there were quite a few kind of in the more rural areas. We thought, we've really lost touch. So as part of our grant, we hired Tyra. We brought Tyra in. We said, hey, go out and reach all of these resource partners. Let's get back in touch, and let's plan a big kickoff meeting. And so on May 16th, we're gonna have a big kickoff meeting for all of our resource partners that are kind of in this region. We know it's kind of tough for some of the people maybe down in Natchitoches or Monroe to get over here, so we'll probably end up doing one in those towns as well. But we're gonna do this resource partner kickoff. And what we're gonna do with them is kind of what we're doing today with you, is we're gonna re-explain the program and talk about how it will actually help, how we can help their organization help entrepreneurs. Our ultimate goal is to ensure that every entrepreneur gets the service that they need, that there's never an entrepreneur that goes underserved or unserved. So that's our ultimate goal. We want to make sure that we're creating jobs, that we're starting companies here in North Louisiana. So one of the things, we have, I said we run the 2 grants. One is for the Accelerator side, and we're gonna call that NorLaunch, because we're helping launch companies. And then on the capital side, that's called NorCap. And so that's where we actually help deploy capital and help get companies funded. So with that said, I'm gonna turn it over to Tyra. She's gonna tell you a little bit more about NorLaunch.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so what do these programs mean to entrepreneurs in our region? So as Julie mentioned, NorLaunch is an expansion of Launch Network. And of course, with what Julie just said, Launch Network is basically a resource network that helps connect entrepreneurs like yourselves to the correct person, organization, or program that they need to thrive as an entrepreneur in our region. So, usually how this works, so if someone who is interested in starting a business or launching their business, what they would do is contact EAP. And so we schedule a meeting with them, we screen them, and if they just don't meet our criteria, what we like to do is find a resource partner within our resource navigator, and we refer them out to that appropriate resource so they could, help them through that situation. And so, also, like Julie mentioned, the goal of Launch Network was to leave no entrepreneur behind. So that's just summarizing that. But more so on NorLaunch. So NorLaunch is really a program that will help entrepreneurs turn their dreams into reality. And no matter the background or location, we want more people to launch businesses here in Shreveport-Bossier.
And all over North Louisiana, because we are focusing on rural and underserved areas as well. So that is a big piece of it.
And so the BRF, the goal of NorLaunch is to strengthen, diversify North Louisiana's entrepreneurial ecosystem by ensuring that the people who lack those resources and also who are underserved in our communities and who stay in rural areas can have the same opportunity to develop, innovate, and launch their high-tech startups or high-growth companies. So that is the goal. So this NorLaunch, this program is focused on those who are underserved and in rural areas. And rural areas, when you think of Shreveport-Bossier or Northwest Louisiana, you'll say Minden, Plain Dillon, Coshada, and even Baxter, but that's just to name a few. Like Julie said, the EAP has a resource partner in 21 parishes across North Louisiana. And so with this program, we want to leverage that relationship with those resource partners so that entrepreneurs are aware that this program is here to help them start their companies, and it could really be a benefit to them. And also, this is not saying that, we are going to stop serving our community here in Shreveport-Bossier. actually, NorLaunch does have the advantage where we can serve our communities here in Shreveport Bossier. So, you know, that's just that on NorLaunch. Do you guys have any more questions as far as like who, you know, this program is for before I get into like more details?
Well, I do have a business, and it is in Halston, Louisiana.
Uh-huh.
And when I said I had to pack it up to come out to the Shreveport Bossier, because that was one of my things that was suggested to me, and I love it. I love it. I'm out. But the resources, when I drive around Halston, there is none.
Yeah.
So would it be created there, or would I still have to drive all the way out here? Because I have to drive an hour.
I would say, this would be what I would say. If we need to do a face-to-face meeting, then yes, unfortunately, you're probably gonna have to make the drive, or we're gonna have to make the drive too.
Hey, thank you. That was my next
So
question.
we
Y'all
have
come
the-
and visit
we'll
me.
have the ability to do
Right.
that. I think that you need to come to our food truck academy, just hint, hint, wink, wink.
Okay,
I think you
okay.
would be a perfect candidate for that. So
Thank you.
that's something to really think about.
All right.
Okay.
Tyra,
Okay, yeah. Huh?
Yes, you mentioned high-tech startups.
Uh-huh.
Are you focused on like commercial or software, or are you interested in like light industrial,
Anything.
textiles, materials?
Any type of startup that's gonna generate 20 million.
Yeah, I mean, we are looking for high growth startups. We don't discriminate against verticals. Now, there are certain areas that we know we're not very good at. So I'm gonna throw this out there. We have an idea. Everybody knows 50 Cent is coming, bringing all of these things. I'm trying to get with his camp and say, will you open an entertainment incubator to help these entertainment companies? So that's something else I'm hoping that we can help, and then they would be part of the launch network, a part of the resource partners. But we know that we're not good at restaurants. We know that we're not good at one product company. So if you develop one product, meaning like one GizWiz, we know that we're not very good at that. If you have multiple and it's a product company, then we are much better at that.
What do you attribute that to, as far as not being great on a one product company?
It's traction, because there's so much risk if they don't get the traction that they need on that one product, that they will fail. And there's often a longer timeline to generating revenue. And so unfortunately, it's like kind of constantly Pez machine them with money until they can get there. And if they haven't done their market research to know that they can actually sell it or license it or whatever they plan to do, there's just a huge risk there.
I can speak to developing developing a company in a nascent industry, where there's not a whole lot. There's less than 100 companies total in the country, and a lot of them are centuries established in chemicals and manufacturing already. 7 years no revenue.
Yeah, it's
a
rough.
long path.
It is.
Only real guarantee I have of anything is patent.
Yeah. I think also understanding the procurement process in that particular industry, medical devices are rough. Being able to get into a hospital and actually sell that, and then who's the actual customer? Is it the first responder or the nursing staff, or is it the hospital itself, or is it their conglomerate that buys all of the equipment? So there's just a lot of nuances to it. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to crack that nut yet. So
Is there a certain industry or vertical that for Northern Louisiana that y'all seen grow exponentially, through y'all's support? I mean, or is it pretty agnostic to?
it is very diverse. When I look at our investment portfolio of companies that the fund has actually invested in, and then the portfolio that EAP has helped, it's a pretty looking pie chart. So it's very diverse. I mean, we do have things in the biomedical space. We do have things in cybersecurity. I mean, we have pet products. We have, you name it. We have a software that records live playback for sporting events. So I mean, we're all over the place, and that's by design. Yeah. Let's keep going here.
Okay, one more question, okay.
You said that if you can't meet the entrepreneur's needs, refer them out. Once you do that, is there any follow-up to ensure that their needs are met, that they're
Yeah, so we like to give a follow-up call to that resource partner that we will refer you out to, just to see if, you know, how things are going. We may even contact you. And just because we refer you out doesn't mean that you can't come back to us to, you know, help formulate that idea and expand from there. But, okay, back to NorLaunch conversation. So previously with NorLeague, if someone came and sat on the blue couches and Dave and Julie decides that, hey, you know, this is a great fit for us, and they initiate a contract. Previously, we would take a 3 to 5% equity stake in that company, just because EAP doesn't charge any upfront costs for the services that we provide. But now, with the grants that we received, so those who meet the criteria of the NorLaunch program and they sign a contract with us, there is no equity stake in their company. There's no costs associated whatsoever. You get a full-time analyst assigned to you, and they'll help you from point A to point Z. And you visit those blue couches again. You will hear Julie say, us analysts, we like to start with the numbers. Like, can you make money from your idea? And we usually figure this out by first creating a pro forma. And what a pro forma is, it is basically a financial projection on your company to see if your company will be viable and will be able to sustain given a period of time. So that's great news that if you qualify for this program, then you get us for free. But also the future trainings for NorLaunch that we have planned. Sorry, my voice is kind of scratchy.
You need some tea.
I didn't have any. I should have got some earlier. But so through the EDA, BRF, and also the help of our resource partners, we actually plan to offer a variety of educational classes with NorLaunch, and that'll be specifically geared towards connecting our entrepreneurs and helping them grow their business in North Louisiana. We plan to do professional development workshops, again, educational trainings, thank you. And also networking events amongst our entrepreneurial crowd and also our resource partners. And as Julie already mentioned, we have our first workshop scheduled. It's going to be a food truck academy, and we plan for this event to be co-hosted with Southern University's Kitchen Incubator, MS-KIC. And also we'll be having a special guest there. He will be teaching a curriculum on how to successfully launch a food truck. And he will be going with you on the whole concept development, financing your food truck, that's the biggest piece. And also like daily operations and marketing. And like,
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
He is an expert in this. He's
Yeah.
successfully doing this in St. Louis right now. There's multiple aspects to his company, but he goes in and he does these food truck academies. These are 6-month-long programs where he takes people who are interested in this. He has part of his company that actually builds and designs and builds the food trucks. And then he also has a way of actually financing it where the entrepreneur is not out any cash up front. So it's a really cool experience. And then in addition to that, he has worked with local organizations, and they have a token program. What is the name? Do you remember the name? Food for Love or something like that.
I thought I had the word dignity in it.
Anyway, there's a program where they actually have organizations who will come in and say buy 100 tokens, and each token's $8 a piece. And they will then donate these to different groups. It might be an underserved population that's in a food desert. It might be a group of military people where there are no resources to get food on the weekends because of just where the location of the military base is. It might be a construction site where there's just no other options and they don't have much time. And so these organizations, let's say for example, a local bank, they could buy 100 tokens, they could turn around and donate them to an organization, and then those people can go to these food trucks and they can use them as payment. And so they get a free meal. And so that's another program that we're looking at actually rolling out. And so that's one of the things that we're gonna do, a free food truck Friday along with this workshop. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that'll take the curriculum, the training part will be from 9 to 11, and then from 11 to 2, it'll be the food truck Friday followed after. And Julie, do you want to go ahead and get into NorCap?
Yeah, so that's kind of the NorLaunch program. That's where the Accelerator side, where we're launching companies. Now, what happens when we say, okay, yeah, but I need money? Now what? So and that's always the case. So we have a separate grant through the EDA, Build to Scale, for capital. And so what this does is, back in 2015, we launched the first New Louisiana Angel Fund. It had 57 accredited investors, and we raised about $2.7 million. All of that capital was deployed over about 3-year time period. In 2018, we started the Fund 2, New Louisiana Angel Fund 2, that had 67 accredited investors, and we raised about $3.1 million. We just deployed the last dollars from that towards the end of last year, and then we started raising Fund 3. So we are now on our third fund. I'm excited about that. We currently have 71 accredited investors. We're at 3.2 million. The fund is not closed, so we are still accepting new accredited investors, and we hope to probably close that out sometime this summer. But what this did is this allows us to not only raise these funds, because that takes a lot of time. It's a lot of one-on-one meetings. Man, starting last August through Christmas, Dave and I, we had probably, I don't know, Jessica, what, about 200 plus meetings? And just to meet with local potential investors. But this also helps us not only train those investors, because someone might have the economic status to be an accredited investor, but they may not actually understand private equity, right? So this program, the NorCap, will help us train investors. It will also help us train entrepreneurs. I want to do some classes about kind of the fundamentals of raising money as an entrepreneur. I want entrepreneurs to understand, what is a convertible note? How does that impact my ownership of my company? Is all money good money? And so it's just some of these fundamentals. And so NorCap is not only helping us deploy NorCap money. I want to make this one very clear statement though. The grant money cannot be invested into a company. Okay, that the monies from the grant cannot, we don't have a checkbook that we can write and put money into your company from these grants. That's not allowable. It is only for services and for our services to help get you capital. The investors can put the capital in, okay? So I don't want there to be any confusion. Don't come to us and say, yeah, but you want a grant, write me a check. It doesn't work that way. The federal government does not allow that at all. But we're gonna have a lot of training programs, and I'm looking forward to some of those. We'll probably hold off until the fall. We'll get through the summer, and then, we'll kick that off. So just to kind of wrap this up, what does this mean to you? If you are an entrepreneur, the good news is there's gonna be a lot of opportunity for you to learn a lot in the upcoming 2.5 years. These are 3-year grants too. That's the wonderful thing. This isn't just for like 1 month or 1 year. These are actually for 3 years. And so there's gonna be a lot of opportunities to learn. If you have a specific topic that you say, I need to learn about this. Come talk to us, and we will get you where you need to be or the information that you need. Or we may schedule an entire program. Another thing, if you are an organization similar to the BRF or you help entrepreneurs in some way, this program will help us sponsor events with you. So if you need some financial resources to maybe host a breakfast or host something and we need to rent a space where people can gather, these grants will allow us to do those things. Or if we need to bring in an expert about a specific topic.
Julie, I do know an organization that would be able to help like with soft skills, for instance. I used to belong to the organization, but she's my mentor and I'm a product of one of her trainings. She's actually in the room now. She's a civility expert and etiquette expert, and she is phenomenal. And I would love to introduce her because there she is right there, Nikesha Tyson. She's a Swan School of Protocol for Shreveport, but she would go wherever. And that would be a perfect fit for this program because you do need soft skills.
Absolutely.
You need to be able to speak well and to present yourself in such a way that people understand what you're talking about. So I'm sorry, thank you, go ahead.
No, absolutely, that's good. If you have any other ideas, please reach out to Tyra. If you have ideas, we love those. As I mentioned, Matt, I know he had to run off, but Matt and Sabrina are going to be helping us revamp our website. So if you go to NorLaunch LA, launchnetworkla.com. You can kind of see some info. It's still in pretty good shape. We just need to kind of maybe do some updating, but you can go there and learn a little bit more. And then there's going to be more to come. So again, our ultimate goal to this is to make sure that every entrepreneur gets the service that they need, that we keep the talent and the people and ideas here in North Louisiana, and that we continue to create jobs and grow the economy. So, what other questions do y'all have?
What is that website?
LaunchNetworkLA.com. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
You have a question?
We have talked to a couple of franchises. That is not our specialty. However, I know a little bit about it. I probably know enough to kind of wing it and get somebody through it. Franchise law is very complicated, so I tell anybody who is interested in doing a franchise to go get a very good attorney that will advise them appropriately. Franchise law is very, very complicated and way above my pay grade. So, but as far as will the company make money? I mean, at the end of the day, when somebody comes to us, and Tyra keeps saying, does somebody qualify? What does that really mean? Does somebody qualify? Like, is my skin the right color? No, we don't care. That has nothing to do with it. Do I live in a certain area? Nope, we don't really care. I mean, are we targeting rural and underserved areas? Yes, we are, but we will not discriminate against, it doesn't matter where you live, okay? Does it matter what my company is gonna do? Maybe, because there's some things that we are good at and some things that we know we just are not good at. Food is one of them. We love Mexican restaurants, but if you want to open another Mexican restaurant, we are not your person. Go talk to MS Kick. They can actually help people design a menu and price it appropriately so that you can actually make a profit. We don't know how to do that. That's not what we do. But do you qualify? At the end of the day, it really boils down to, is it a viable idea? You know, a lady came to us and she made the most beautiful beads I had ever seen in my entire life. They were handmade beads. They were gorgeous. But my suggestion to her was, you would be better served selling these on an Etsy because you will get more traffic. You won't have to spend quite as much money doing the SEO work. You won't have to try to put a shingle out. You won't, and so it wasn't a good fit for us. But I do feel like I got her the information and got her to where she needed to be. So hopefully that kind of helps. Does somebody qualify? There's no real requirements like, oh, you have to, you know, have one green eye and one brown eye or something. You know, there's nothing like that. Any other questions out there?
You mentioned resource partners. What exactly are these? So you have resource partners in each town, city, parish, I'm not sure. What exactly are those and what do they do?
So a resource partner is anyone who offers services to help entrepreneurs. I mean, it could be a chamber, it could be a library, it could be an incubator, it could be anyone, the SBA, SBDC, a university that might have an entrepreneurial department or you know, area as part of the university. And so we really want to bring all of those together, because one of the things we did with the Bossier Chamber, goodness, it might have been about 8 years ago, 7 years ago, we sat down with some of the, I would say, larger entrepreneurial organizations here in town. And we did what we call an exercise called a mapping gap. Okay, what are you good at? What are you good at? What are you do? What do you do? Tell me all the things that you do. Tell me all the things that you do. And we literally had this massive, it kind of went back to my consulting and project management days. We had this massive list of things. And we kind of went through and said, okay, EAP, what are you really good at? We're good at raising capital. Okay, so we kind of became known as the ones that organized the capital. And we're really good at the financial modeling. And so we're the one that, you know, can really look at all of the inputs and say, or help gather all those inputs and say, is this viable? Some of the other organizations, they're better at, they have a larger network, right? The chambers, for example. They're great for getting things like permitting and helping organizations through that process. One thing I will say is it takes more than one resource partner to get someone there. Chasing Aces across the bridge that's coming in, the golf thing. That's one of our portfolio companies, but without Lisa Johnson over at the Bossier Chamber's help, it wouldn't have happened. And there's so many more. Bankers, and I mean, just the list, CPAs, attorneys, I mean, the list goes on and on. But most of what we define as a resource partner, it's someone who is specifically targeted to help entrepreneurs in North Louisiana. And we'll have that list. In fact, at our resource partner kickoff, we're going to put together a really cool poster. It's got everybody on there. I will tell you, it gets a little challenging because you know, people change jobs, and so one of Tyra's very first tasks was reaching out and calling all 90.
And you will be surprised how many people change their jobs within a year or two time span. So the new list is fully revamped, and those resources and those people are free to help you all.
We have time for a couple more questions, like maybe one or two. Anybody?
What if there are no rural rural resources, but it's actually needed because of the fact that, because there are some entrepreneurs that are in the area, and it's just like, well, Ms. Nikita, I don't have the resources, or I can't travel like you can travel, and I'm up so early that they can't jump in the car with me.
Then again, as I would say, is that the resource is available, we just have to come to them, right?
All right.
Or, you know, one of the issues that we face is if they don't have internet, because there are a lot of people that do not, we can schedule a couple of different things. We can have them go to a local library and set something up, or we can drive to them. If we need to do that, then this grant absolutely allows for that, and actually that's what it's for.
When I have the tea room, y'all can come there and have tea and
right.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would say is, you know, people say, well, in rural areas there aren't resources. There are. It may not be within 10 miles of that PIN location. I live in a rural area. I'm up in Oil City, and we don't have many resources there. It's a 45-minute drive to get to resources, or at least 20. But we will come to them. You know, we certainly can make that happen.
But that was my only question.
I have a question. How do you become my name is Taylor, and it's great to meet you all. how do you become a resource for, the underserved communities on your list? Because, that is what, we do as an organization. We help underserved communities, with job placement, with any resources that, they may need to be successful. We also work with returning citizens, we work with veterans, we work with, at-risk youth as well, helping them to, be successful in the city of Shreveport and throughout Louisiana. I also sit on the Economic Development Board at, Job as their president. So I'm always looking for resources so we can get those young adults, the jobs that they need.
So one of the ways that I would see that we would be able to work with you is if someone has, let's say someone has a manufacturing idea and they want to manufacture some type of fabric, right? And they want to set up a factory that's going to manufacture fabric out of industrial hemp or some byproduct.
Yes, ma'am.
We could then possibly look at coming to you and saying, we're going to need about 20 workers and people that work. So our focus is really on helping people start a company. We're not in the job. We don't find people jobs so much. We really do not focus on that at all. We would send them to, if somebody comes to us and says, I'm looking for a job, we'd be like,
Call Miss Taylor.
That's what I do now. So I mean, I've got many people with jobs.
but if we have a demand, we don't really focus on workforce development. Other than the Digital Media Institute, we do have a department at BRF called the Digital Media Institute, and we do train students to do digital media. So that kind of falls into the workforce development category. But at EAP, we don't focus on that. But like I said, if we have a startup company that comes in and says, or we recruit a company and we recruit them out of Oklahoma City or something like that, and they lose 20 of their employees because they say, I'm not moving to Louisiana, then that's when we may come to you and say, hey, we need some help. We also work, would work with staffing agencies and things like that, depending on the skill set that's needed. Does that help?
That's it, yeah. So, yeah, you're able to be a resource partner on the Launch Network, if that answers your question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we would do is schedule a blue couch, basically kind of the exact same thing that we do with our entrepreneurs that bring in their ideas. We would schedule a blue couch, basically bringing you and our team together and hear how we can help you and how you can help us. So it's the benefits.
Alright.
So that's what we can do. So before we leave, get mine or Tyra's or Zach's email and we can schedule that with you.
Okay, thank you very much.
One or two.
Well, I was just kind of backing up on what she said. So basically, I'm the EAP ex-intern, kind of to a new role, so I'm kind of familiar with all this. Is there a way that, since she said she's a resource partner, is there a way that she can suggest herself to be added to the list? Or
Yeah, that's the blue couch.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Any other?
So can I just say, even if you don't know for sure if we're a good fit, come visit us anyway. That's what we love to do. We want to meet everybody, pretty much your ideas and plug and play whatever would be best for you in your situation.
And that couch is so comfortable.
It really is.
Y'all see, I've
They
been
really
wearing blue
are.
ever since.
They really are blue couches.
Right.
See our blue couches. All right, thanks everybody. If you have any more questions.
Hang on, I got a couple more things. All right, so thank you everybody for coming. Let's see, if you are a resource partner, you'll receive emails about the resource kickoff partner next week. The event, this was kind of a preview for that, so do expect more information if you are a resource partner from there. Next month we will be meeting on June 12th, and we'll have Tony Durham with Durham Transport Academy. So she has an amazing story in getting started. She's a wonderful person. So
All woman-owned business as well.
yes, and again, if you did not sign our sign-up sheet, please go ahead and fill that information out. You will start receiving emails from me for reminders for it. So thank you again for everybody for coming today.
Thank you.